Hi and welcome to the Martin Bell Show. Hopefully you've been keeping well and been having a good new year so far, considering with what's going on in the world. So today we're going to be reading a news article, and it's about £250 billion sits in bank accounts and as interest rates are getting closer to zero. So basically it's about people saving more money because there's uncertainty with what's going to be happening in the future. And also people can't go out and spend money at this moment in time for like luxury or dining out for dinners and meals and things, because you can't go out and lots of things are shut, so there's nowhere to spend your money. So we're going to go through this article and then I'm going to read through it, give you my thoughts and seeing what it says. So it says here, an astonishing £250 billion sits in the bank accounts earning zero interest after a bumper year of saving, and the market estimates a 30% chance of a rate cut in 21. So interest rates are, I think, at 0.1, and I think inflation's at 0.8 or 0.9 when I last looked at the Bank of England's website. So technically we are in negative interest rates, but not officially, if you know what I mean. Markets pricing in a 70% chance of no change in base rates and a 30% rate cut. Talks on negative rates partly precipitated by vaccine news and Brexit trade deal. All will depend on, of course, the pandemic and economic recovery. Analysts say 250 billion. 0.3 billion sits in instant access accounts that pay no interest at the end of October. This is really good. Also, it can be bad, but also if you have uncertainty, it's good to have a nest egg, because most people don't have an emergency fund, and hopefully this will make people realise. I know it's an awful situation to be in, and that's what we're in, but it's really tried to make the best of the situation that we're in, to realise it's important to have like a nest egg saving, because you never know what's going to happen in the future, and you have some cash savings or investments that will protect you if you lose your job or something happens. You never know outside of your control, so very important. The money markets are pricing in a 30% chance that interest rates will be cut from their record low next year, just as a record amount of cash sits in bank accounts paying no interest at all. Although the dodging of a no Brexit deal and rollout of COVID vaccines have extinguished for the moment talk from the negative interest rate. So yes, this article is a bit older. We have actually got a deal. I actually haven't looked into the deal, what it is. It's probably a lengthy piece of paper. It's not on like a single side. I think it's like 2,000 pages, so it's quite a thick piece of material. So a few except from the Bank of England hike to the base rate from its all-time low, 0.1% at any point next year. Mostly expectations are for rates to remain where they are, with markets pricing in a 70% chance that there will be a no change. But there leaves a 30% chance that there will be a rate cut to zero or into negative territory. I think if we do go into negative interest rates, I think that will push people more into precious metals or more into equities, defensive equities. And some people will hold cash for emergency fund and also for opportunities for future investments, but it will push more people into I think into precious metals and equities, and not sure about bonds because I don't know much about them. I'd have to do more research, and I would say wrongly, I'm not a fan of Bitcoin, but it will push people more into alt and crypto coins. Either way, this spells yet another miserable year for savers, especially for growing an army of accidental savers who've found themselves with extra cash during the pandemic. Those who've been lucky enough to keep their jobs during the crisis have seen expenses diminish, as lockdowns have meant fewer opportunities to go out for dinner or away on holidays. So, yes, I feel very sorry for the people who have lost their jobs, but maybe people should start to realise from the situation and make the best of it. It's like, maybe it's best now if I don't go out and spend all my money and like have zero nearly or struggle to the end of the month. Maybe just roll it back a bit and not spend so much, obviously once things get better and the virus is gone. So hence a record 215.3 billion while sitting in instant access accounts that pay zero interest at the end of October, according to the latest available figures by the Bank of England. This money is slowly but surely losing its purchasing power or buying power, said Lenneth Carlisle, financial analyst at AJ Bell. Over £150 billion was saved into cash accounts in 2020, including £41.8 billion put into NSNI, which is basically a premium bond if you're from the United Kingdom. It's basically each pound is like a lottery ticket number, and there's a chance of a cash prize, but obviously it's not reinvested. The numbers roll over each month, and you don't lose your money once it's drawn. It gets drawn again and again and again, and obviously you can withdraw the money whenever you want, but obviously there's like a few days wait for the money to be drawn out. But that's going to become more challenging, especially if interest rates go to practically zero or negative. I'm not too sure how the premium bonds will work personally. NSI attracted a big sum of money since the pandemic struck, despite people slashing rates on huge. I also do think this has something to do with like obviously with interest rates being near zero, and obviously people have uncertainty, they want to take a punt to win like the million or $500,000 or maybe even like the 50,000 or maybe even a couple £100 because there's different prizes for different levels and it's drawn each month. So when the Bank of England cut interest rates to the emergency level of 0.5% in 2009, no one predicted that one more decade later rates would be even lower, when we're asking if they would still cope for a further fall. Yet this is precisely the situation we find ourselves in, said Calaf. While market prices can of course be proved wrong, there is a good reasons to think the Bank of England will keep rates low throughout the coming year, he added. Although a no-Brexit deal has been averted and vaccines are starting to be rolled out across the country, unemployment is expected to rise sharply in coming months, and the Bank of England won't want to rock the boat. Now let's read that again, so I can process it. Although a no-Brexit deal has been averted, and yes it has, and vaccines are starting to be rolled out across the country, which they have, unemployment is expected to rise sharply in the coming month, and the Bank of England won't want to rock the boat. That is totally true, because there's obviously people who have managed, or people have tapped out because they can't cope with it anymore. They shut the business, and obviously there's going to be much more unemployment going on. But hopefully we do get a good recovery. And I do think some sectors will take a very long time to recover, and some sectors may never fully recover completely to exactly what they were before. Or they may not, but I'm not sure. I don't have a crystal ball. A second COVID vaccine, one developed by AstraZeneca, which is a top 100 FTSE public traded company, which I do own some in an ETF, and an Oxford University has now been approved for the use in the UK. But infections continue to rise, and government yesterday announced tougher lockdowns across the country, with 3/4 of England put into Tier 4 from midnight, which will force more businesses to close down temporarily. Michael Hewson, an analyst of CMC Markets UK, says it will unlikely the Bank of England will go ahead with negative rates next year. Although a lot will depend on the state of the economic recovery, much will depend on how much the global economy evolves over the next few months, and whether we see a decent recovery in the wake of the vaccine rollout program, which is expected to accelerate in earnest from January 21. Tom Stevenson, investment director at Fidelity International, said, The debate about rates going, even though it is quieter now, but the possibility of zero or negative. It's completely off the table as the Bank of England hangs on to some room to maneuver in early 21. Policymakers have signalled more monetary stimulus could be needed if the pandemic continues to put brakes on the recovery, but coordinated fiscal policy will also be required. Califf added whether the MPC takes the plunge, whether negative interest rates depend on the course of the pandemic and the progress of the economy in the coming months. A Brexit deal has at least averted a further economic shock which might have tipped the Bank of England towards a rate cut. I have looked at some of the comments on Daily Mail, and most of them are quite cancerous or not even well thought out, pardon me, or just like really bad or just like over emotionally, and it's like crippled their rational and reasoned thinking or their too politically either one way and losing sense of rationality. The minute it's like here, William 51, don't contact him or in any shape, way or form, please leave this person alone. Let's read what he says. The minute they start charging negative interest rates on my savings when I withdraw it from the bank and invest it in the bank under the mattress. That is true, but then there's something called there'll be a run on the bank if that is the case, and they will put withdrawal limits of cash per day, which we do have, but they say it is for money laundering. It is actually for money laundering, but you can only withdraw, I think, up to £300 a day. But if you have savings, you're obviously going to have, probably depending on the age, you're saying you're 51, don't know your circumstances, but I'm going to say you probably have like maybe like £20,000 saved up, and if you can only withdraw £300 a day, that will take you 66 or 67 days to withdraw it completely. And that's not if no one else has the same idea, and obviously there's not a one-to-one coverage of one-to-one physical coverage of physical cash to digital cash in the system, so they won't allow that. So that could be quite dangerous if you have a run on the bank. I think the government and the banks need to think carefully about how much such a move for everyone does the same. It will cause a run on the banks, and there where it will be. Remember Northern Rock? Yes, I do, but it's a bit bigger than just Northern Rock now. And then we have someone saying investing in crypto. I'm not a fan of crypto, and I will make a video detailing within detail the reasons why I don't like or I'm not a fan of cryptocurrency, and I would love to hear feedback from the people who are actually in the community and rebutting or showing errors in my thinking or why they think I'm wrong. I'd be interested in hearing that. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. I'm sure everything is going to be fine in the long term. I'm sure that there won't be, I'm pretty sure that hopefully there won't be on the run on the banks, and I don't think if interest rates go negative that there will be maybe a total run on the bank, as I think Sweden went negative, but I haven't done if people done massive withdrawals. I'm not too sure about that. So we'll have to wait and see. So yes, so if you've enjoyed this content and you want to see more, then please feel free to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss that video. If you click the bell notification button, you get notified for when I next release a video, or if I go live. I don't just make videos about finance, I also make about documenting my journey for motivational and inspirational purposes only. I play video games where we can chill and relax and not talk about some serious matters, light-hearted fun, and just unwind from all the struggles and severity of life that it brings. So this is not financial advice, by the way. Please do your own independent research before making any financial decisions. Your capital is always at risk, when you invest, you may get back less than you invested, or sometimes you may even get, hopefully you do, get more than you put in. But anyway, take care, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Video.